music. So, and
welcome back,
we're live.
everybody. Here we are.
Hey, there it is.
Hey, Vince, Tyler,
Yeah.
Tim.
Yo.
Hey.
Tim is living in his sardine can, so he won't speak. How is everybody? How was your guys' weekend?
I'm good not being sick. If I sound nasally, I'm still getting over the phlegm that's in my body. So thanks for holding it down for me guys while I was out last week.
It's always the last thing to go. It's always the last part to get over is the phlegm, cough, etc. Yeah, totally get that.
Yep.
Something went around because a couple people at work got it as well, and then a few other people we know got it. So thankfully, I'm dodging those germs and not getting sick. So because it's been nasty. Vince, it was an exciting weekend of football. So let's just catch up because there's a lot to discuss. So let's just review the scores real quick and
all right. So the weekend started off with the Chargers and the Texans. And that was we all three of us, we picked the Chargers.
Yeah, we did.
Like a bunch of idiots.
Dumbasses.
Fucking dummies. The whole lot of us, man. And the Texans, man, they just absolutely handed it to them.
Nobody saw Herbert throwing 4 interceptions when he threw 3 for the entire season.
Yeah, 32-12 was the final score.
Right,
for
nobody
those
saw that.
Yeah, I mean, just a blowout, and it was just ugly. It was an ugly fucking game.
Right.
Way to start off the wild card weekend, right? And then you follow it up with Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Baltimore just blew out Pittsburgh as well, 28-14. That one wasn't really all that close. Some cosmetic scoring at the end there for Pittsburgh.
I was looking at it, right? Baltimore played a Saturday game, right? And then they played a Wednesday Christmas. And then they played another Saturday game. Did they play one more in between there? And then they played a Saturday playoff?
Yeah.
I don't know about I think their whole schedule has been pretty wonky.
Weird.
Since
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, well, oddly enough, the Chiefs are have played a game on 6 out of the 7 days of the week this season, because they had a Wednesday Christmas game,
right.
And they had the Thursday game. They were on Black Friday against the Raiders. Then they had a Saturday game, obviously a bunch of Sunday games and a Monday night game. So the only one they didn't play on was Tuesday, and so anyway.
And we all got that one right. We all picked the Ravens.
Yeah. So we all picked the Ravens winning. Broncos lose big time to the Bills, was at 31-7, I believe. Yeah, 31-7. And we all had that one right. I mean, the Bills just kind of came to play. The Broncos were kind of holding tough there for a little while there. At the end of the first half, that missed field goal doinked right off the post. And that was kind of the end of it. They could have gone into halftime tied, and then they just didn't score again the rest of the game. So I don't know, pretty deflating there for them.
Yeah.
Tyler, your boys get the win 22-10 over Green Bay on Sunday. Do you want to have anything special you want to say about that game?
Man, defensively, this team looked exactly as advertised, and I loved every minute of it. Losing to Kobe Dean, our middle linebacker, is going to be a big blow, but Zach Bond being all-world talent, Vic Fangio comparing him to a fellow middle linebacker he once coached in Navarro Bowman. It feels great, man. I mean, honestly, offensively, we struggled, but again, Jalen Hurts has been out for 2.5 weeks. You know, I'm willing to bet that he would have played Week 18 if it meant the 1 seed on the line, but nonetheless, we're dealt with the hand here. So I think a little bit of rust for sure. Saquon Barkley looked great. I think he could have got more yards on that last run there instead of kneeling down, and all of his teammates made sure they let him know about the same thing. Could have kneeled down at the 10 there instead of at the 45, but that's fine. It's whatever. Ice the game, kill it. I just need to see more offensively going into next week, whether we play the Vikings or the Rams. Currently, I'm going to steal your thunder here. The Rams are up 7-0 on the Vikings. Very early, though.
And Matthew Stafford is currently 9 for 9 for 104 yards and 1 TD pass to Kyron Williams.
Yeah, so I think defensively, we're gonna be there. We're gonna be solid. Offensively needs to pick up a little bit. It did also help that the Packers, I don't know who they cursed on their way into Lincoln Financial Field, but I mean Watson ACL, their two other wide receivers shoulder concussion, their right guard shoulder out, their set broken leg, and then Love with the wrist and the elbow. So I don't know who they cursed, but they were dropping like flies that game, which helps, but
right,
you don't want to see happen.
Yeah. Oh, Kyron Williams, big run. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So clearly we all kind of have the games going on right now, going live. It took until Sunday night, but we got a competitive game. Washington ends up pulling the upset over Tampa Bay, which all three of us called, by the way. So we all we are all 4 for 5. The only game we got wrong was that Chargers Houston game so far. So that's
I'll
cool.
have you know, I only picked Washington for one reason. I forget his name. The defensive coordinator for the Bucks has had Jalen Hurts' number since going back to 2022 or 2021 when we played against Tom Brady. So I picked because I don't want to see the Bucks, and I'm glad I don't have to see the Bucks. But it is what it is.
Right? Wow. Yeah, and we only differed on one game. Sam and Tyler have the Vikings. I picked the Rams, and we'll see how this shakes out. But rather be ahead than behind right now. I'll say that. So when we have the picks for next week, when we total them all up, we'll have this game, and then we'll have going forward. There's no more Monday games, so we'll be able to keep everybody updated on our scores for our pick'em thing that we're doing. Yeah. So, and I mean, the way the Bucks lost too, that the fumble, right, and then the walk-off field goal, just brutal way to end the season.
It like
for the Bucks,
clanked
man.
and still went in.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a half doink because it still went in.
Not to me.
I heard it on the TV. I heard the doink. It still went in. Still counts.
Yeah, not to be confused with the 2019 double doink in the playoffs for the Bears against the Eagles to lose that game for the Bears.
Yeah, jeez. That one that was really brutal too. Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. I said 2019. 2018. I apologize.
2018, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So there is your recap for the week that was in the wild card. We still obviously have the one game going on, and as updates happen, we will update you all. That being said, there are a couple of things that have happened over the week. This past Wednesday, the 49ers GM John Lynch said that he expects to cut Javon Hargrave. It auto-corrected to Jacob for some reason when I typed it in here. But anyway, so they're going to cut him after June 1st, but he is open to bring him back for next season. I have to assume there's salary reasons for after June 1 cutting him. He also said that he's planning on having Debo back next year. So we'll see. I did call the Javon Hargrave one.
So I will say this. Yeah. Jake Moody won me my championship in my ESPN league because he missed the extra point field goal to cause the game to possibly go to overtime. So my question to you, Vince, is do you think he's on the chopping block next?
I think his job is an open competition. He's going to have to earn that job in in the preseason, because it is fair game at this point. You have to. He was way too inconsistent this year, and some of it might have been injury, but even then, he was back for several weeks at this point toward the end of the year, and he was still missing stuff. So yeah, you're gonna have to open it up, and there's an opportunity. So I am going to announce that I'm getting into shape, and I'm going to see if I can start kicking 60-yard bombs. No, kidding. Can't do it.
Do you think Ricky Pearsall impressed you towards the end of the season?
Vince's knee and foot going through the
like going with
upright
it. Yeah. Yeah.
ball.
Yeah. Like it'll snap off mid femur and just but it would be good from about 35 because
Yeah. The
I'm gonna
ball
kick the
would
crap
go
out of it.
in, but his leg would doink.
Yeah, it's actually gonna sit. The knee is gonna sit on the crossbar. Is what's gonna happen. It's gonna
No, the
sit
best
vertical.
would be like it's like you doinked both poles.
Oh, the
You
foot.
doink one with the foot and doink one with the
Yeah,
the
the ball.
football.
Yeah,
And Vince
yeah.
just rolling around like no one's
Yeah.
ever double doinked at a left and a right at the same time.
Yeah, with their own goddamn leg. Yeah.
Fucking legend.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
They'll retire
Tyler.
me on the
You
field.
were making a serious football point.
Yeah, I was asking, did Ricky Pearsall impress you in the last
He
couple
did.
games?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he
Good.
did. Yeah, that's all I was looking for was just one game where he flashed, and fuck darn it, did he flash? You know, I mean, like that. It was like 140 yards and a touchdown in that one game. Yeah, that he gave me what I needed to see. I feel a lot more confident going into next year with Ricky Pearsall. So we'll see what happens with Brandon Ayuk coming back from the injury. How the depth chart kind of works going from there on, but especially if Debo is actually coming back, you know, I mean, this is a team that is unafraid to use a fullback. So there's a lot of times where you only have 2 wide receivers out there. So there's going to be a rotation of some kind. That's something for the team to figure out in, like OTAs and training camp and all that stuff. That's neither here nor there right now. Right now, they got to worry about getting Brandon Ayuk back healthy first, and they got to figure out what the hell went wrong with Debo. And I think Debo's going to have to figure that out himself as well. So, that's kind of where we're at with the Niners at this point. Obviously, they're not in the playoffs, so nobody really gives a damn. Just us, fucking psychotics talking about it.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
a reason why I'm wearing Shark stuff right now, even though they lost all 3 games this week. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Just to recap, Mike McCarthy from Dallas. It looks like they are not bringing him back, so he's gone. So that
Damn
means
it!
I was really hoping
6.
he would come back.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. It really helped me.
Yeah, love mediocrity from the head coach. When it's not your own head coach. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Mike Vrabel ended up getting hired by New England yesterday. That news broke. God, they just kind of did Gerard Mayo dirty. He didn't really have a chance to succeed, and I don't think he was really truly ready to be a head coach as well. So it was just kind of everything was stacked up against him, and it feels really gross. But Robert Kraft is a gross man, so par for the course.
Yeah. I mean, they got Mike Vrabel's a really good coach, and they got a really good coach, and it's really ugly, it's really nasty, the business side of it, but they got a good coach, and you got a young quarterback, and hopefully you can build the roster and get disciplined over there. But yeah, similar in Raiders land with Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco. Slightly different. I think the moment we started to see that maybe it was a little too big for AP. And Telesco, when Telesco got fired, I really wasn't surprised. As soon as I started reading the reports that Ben Johnson wants his own GM, and then Telesco is fired, that was clearly like, what GM? It was like, you guys have Tom Telesco. I don't know. Like, I feel like Tom Brady probably texted Tom Telesco like during a Zoom call with Ben Johnson, like, "Hey Tom, you're fired." Like, what GM?
Yeah.
What GM? Ben Johnson.
I don't see no fucking GM.
Yeah,
right.
That spot's been vacant for weeks.
So I definitely think like there is something big happening for the Raiders. I am drinking the tea that money is not going to be an option for Ben Johnson. GM, staff, whoever, give us a list, and the
Mhm.
Raiders are going to pay for it. Like, that's
Yeah.
one thing
They're
that
gonna
has
throw the
been-
kitchen sink at him. Yeah.
they want everything, and I understand the quarterback. And apparently, by all reports, and this is ESPN, Fox, the Raiders are putting it on their website that they did interview Ben Johnson. And for all whoever is in the know, it could be BS. It is the media. It's speculation. Is that both sides were impressed with one another, and Ben Johnson can't really make any announcements because the Lions have to either be eliminated or they have to be in their bye week. So they either have to go to the Super Bowl or they're eliminated to
Yeah. So
formally announce
yeah.
this deal. And then the other big name is Pete Carroll. I was kind of lukewarm when I first heard this last week. I feel like it would actually be a pretty decent hire, even if you only have Pete Carroll for say a 2 or 3 year run. You have to just get back to relevance. You have to just get back to being like a consistent 10-win team. Like, that's the bar that the Raiders have to get to. And I definitely think Pete Carroll is interested because of Tom Brady, because of the operation that he's pitching. I was actually chatting with your dad a little bit on YouTube on the other video, is that the Raiders, how many years have we had where free agents weren't interested, top coaching candidates weren't interested? And this is a list on Raiders.com, guys. This is the official Raiders site announcing who they have interviewed, are talking to, requested interview. This is the list: Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Steve Spagnuolo, Todd Monken, Robert Saleh, Pete Carroll, and Vance Joseph. Not every name is going to blow the hinges off, but when you look at just the net that they're throwing, those are all
It's an impressive net.
It's an impressive batch of who you're going after. Are some names better than others? Obviously, Ben Johnson is a huge name as an offensive guy. Aaron Glenn is the top defensive assistant. Obviously, Steve Spagnuolo was not successful as a head coach, but as a DC, he's a hell of a coach. We know about Bill Belichick getting his opportunity in Cleveland, sucking, going to New England, and the rest is history. But Spagnuolo's a quality coach. Todd Monken never did it as a head coach, but he's a quality OC. Robert Saleh, I think we all agree, is a really good coach, and probably the problem in New York is ownership.
Yeah. And that was a Woody Johnson problem, not
not a Robert Saleh problem. So, and then you got Pete Carroll, who his resume speaks for himself, and Vance Joseph. I know he didn't work out in Denver, but as a defensive coordinator, he was a really good DC. I think Robert Saleh and Vance Joseph are guys that you're interviewing as a head coach to see if they're interested of, hey, we're going to hire Ben Johnson. Would you guys want to be a DC for Ben Johnson? I think it's more of like, let's get him in the building, or let's talk to him as a head coach, but it's more of a coordinator position.
That being said, the Niners did interview Robert Saleh for the defensive coordinator position.
Of course.
And he is the reports are he's the front runner for that job if he does not get a head coaching job somewhere else. So
as he should,
we'll see what happens there.
Familiarity.
Yeah.
With the Ben Johnson thing, I am in the camp of Ben Johnson. Reason, I know he hasn't done it before, but the reason being is you're hoping that you can find your Sean McVay, your Kyle Shanahan, even Green Bay, your Cliff Kingsbury, right? Like, you're looking for an offense. It's an offensive league, and I think you're just trying to find a coach that can be a Tomlin and be there for 10 years. Like, the Raiders' problem is stability, is continuity. And I think that's what Tom Brady is really trying to put his fingerprints on. This guy's an owner. He spent a lot of money to get in. You want your return on your investment. He does not want the Raiders to stink. I'm sure he would love to be the quarterback that became an owner that took out the Chiefs. I think he would love to be the architect of the Raiders who then took out the Kansas City Chiefs. I really believe that. I like that guy is so competitive. He doesn't want to lose at darts. He doesn't want to lose at marbles. So I do think there is an effect here, and I would not be surprised if he walks away from Fox Sports or in something else. He becomes like president of football operations for the Raiders. I really don't.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised by that. But in closing, I would love to have Ben Johnson because that would be the exciting hire of like an offense. But if they went with somebody like Pete Carroll, I wouldn't really be mad at that. I would actually understand it. You get a guy that has been there, done that, has won a Super Bowl, has won a national championship, has put programs in, would be able to bring in the best and the brightest coordinators and just get the coaching and the program on track. And I know you're not going to get Pete Carroll for 10 years. The guy's 72 years old. He is a fit 72, but you're not getting Pete Carroll for 10 years. You're getting him probably for 3 years, 4 years, maybe. And then you're hoping one of the disciples that he appoints here and the general manager keep that continuity and somebody from within gets the job, and you already built the roster. You have a quarterback, you have good prospects, you have a good foundation to go forward. But ultimately, I do think it's still going to be Ben Johnson. I think money is going to be no limit. They're going to get whatever GM he wants, whatever staff he wants. And I know there's not the quarterback, but they still have the number 6 overall pick. They have a ton of cap room. You can trade, you can sign, you can draft. The name to keep an eye on, guys. Your boy on Saturday morning was up early watching a lot of college football. Jackson Dart. That, he's a weird name. He was highly recruited to Ole Miss. He never fully reached that stardom that was kind of expected of him. But you know what, man? You watch the tape. This dude might be the biggest, like, roll of the dice, biggest payoff as a quarterback. This dude has arm. He can run. He stands in the pocket. He played under Lane Kiffin, so he's running a pro offense. He's running pro language. And he's a big dude. He's not thick, but he's a tall guy. So I don't think you're going to be worrying about like balls getting swatted all the time. Where Cam Ward is a little smaller. He's a little shorter. And Shedeur Sanders, you guys know I'm just not sold on Shedeur Sanders being an NFL quarterback. But I think that Jackson Dart's going to be there at 6. I wouldn't take him at 6. But
would you take him at 37? Would he be there at 37?
He might. I don't know. Or even if you trade down and you get him in the 20s.
I will say this, okay? Not that I think that my Eagles are going to part with him, but we're going to have a decision to make as far as our quarterback situation goes after Jalen Hurts, given the situation if he gets hurt. There's a real chance that Tanner McKee might be on the chopping block just because of contract situations and having to, thin the herd where we need to. So I wouldn't necessarily rule out that possibility of getting a quarterback. Tanner McKee has looked great. He's 6'5", 6'4", can throw, makes good decisions.
I was texting you guys, McKee, right when I was texting you guys about the final week of the season when New England's guy, their backup quarterback was just, throwing darts, throwing lasers all over the field. So it was like the week of the backup. McKee looked really good. I think that if Johnson is your head coach, you could still get your quarterback. I think your quarterback's going to be there in the later rounds for you because just his stock market. But my gut tells me that if you get Johnson, you're going to have a pretty deadly running back core. That's like his bread and butter. You're going to have a good exactly where I was going is if you get Ben Johnson, why not just stay at 6? Because Ashton Gianti is going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
He can be there.
Yep.
Like, so you're talking about you get your Jahmyr Gibbs. And, O'Connell's not horrible. I don't know if he's a Super Bowl freaking quarterback here, but I mean, he's accurate and he's as far as mobility, Jared Goff is a statue. Like Jared Goff is not running around extending plays like some of these other guys, and neither is O'Connell. And as far as running around in mobility, they're about the same. But O'Connell's an accurate quarterback. He's a young quarterback. He's made mistakes. But I mean, Goff was shipped out of town because McVay thought he was broken. And they went to a Super Bowl with Goff, and they're like, we can't win with this guy. And look at now the Lions. I hope I know your team is in the fight there, Tyler, but from a built up foundation, like the Lions have been dog poo since forever. Like, I think that's the only team that's probably comparable to the Raiders, that they have gone to the playoffs so few times in the past 20 years. But now it looks like they're a legitimate threat. So I think from they've never won anything point of view, I'm rooting for them because it's a franchise a fan base who is deprived of any type of winning, and I'm rooting for them. But man, it's an exciting offseason. It's sad that I'm excited for the draft and excited for who the next coach is going to be and the GM. But you need something to infuse this franchise, and I hope it's Ben Johnson, but Pete Carroll would be pretty cool too. But I think it's going to be Ben Johnson, guys. I think it's going to be the shock of the sporting football world, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because you look at Chicago real quick. Chicago, they got Caleb Williams. But do you really want to work for this ownership group? I mean, they got stadium problems. They got training facility problems. So if you're a young coach and you're working with the quarterback and you have stadium issues, where, there's all kinds of issues with the ownership, and the same thing with the Jets. You probably don't want to go to the Jets. That's a mess. And then you look at Jacksonville. Okay, you got Trevor Lawrence. Same thing. Stadium problems, ownership problems. The general manager is there. Like, you're not. Maybe you get your own general manager. Maybe
Trent's
not.
A clown, though. I can't.
Right, Trent Baalke. The owner in the Zoom meeting was like, "I'm down to fire this guy." Like, he was literally like, "I'll fire the general manager if I have to. Yeah. If it's a good idea, I will fire him." So, Shad Khan has not been a stable owner, and I know Mark Davis has his blemishes and his warts, but as far as like a stadium, the stadium is done. There is no questions about the stadium. Facilities. The Raiders have been voted by this like player poll where they poll like every single player in the NFL. Their training facilities are head and shoulders above everybody else's gym, training room, all of that. The Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, would not be quiet about it during the Super Bowl when they won last year about how good it is. So from a coaching standpoint, and then Mark Davis does not want to run the day-to-day operation. That's why Tom Brady is here. So if you're Ben Johnson or any coach and you're like, okay, I got to report to Tom Brady, but the owner is like, I don't give a shit, just win football games. I'm running the business. I'm working on this.
I'd rather be at PF Chang's.
He'd rather be in his fucking unironed shirt. He'd rather just be watching from his box, PF Chang's. Like, I don't know, man. To me, the Raiders' job doesn't really look that bad in comparison to other teams. You could talk to me about the quarterback stuff, but there's a lot of other things that go with it.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So we got to move on, I think, and it's time to start talking about the divisional round, even though the wild card round is not quite over. I think it is time that we start making our picks for the following for next weekend. We got the divisional round. We have 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. We're going to start off 1:30 p.m. on Saturday. The Chiefs hosting the Texans. Is anybody going to do it? Anybody going to pick the upset?
No,
I'm hearing crickets. I'm hearing crickets.
I'm going Chiefs because if I get the chance, I'd love to get that redemption.
Right. Okay. That's fair. I'm going to pick the Chiefs because I'd be an idiot not to at least have them get to the AFC title game. That's a pretty solid bet, I think.
I mean, they haven't really played their starters in like almost 3 weeks, so anything could happen.
They could be a little rusty, but and I think the Texans will probably give more of a fight than a lot of people are expecting. That game is going to be on ESPN and ABC for those of you watching at home. Again, Saturday 1:30. Texans going to Kansas City. Hopefully, the weather is going to behave just enough. So, that brings us to Saturday night. We got the Commanders going to Detroit to take on the Lions. I am picking the Lions. This is something we've wanted to see for a while. Is the Lions? They're the favorites now at this point. They're the big boys. They're the big dogs. They got the bye. They're rested. They're ready to go, and it's really exciting time for the Detroit fans, I believe. So Sam, Tyler, you guys gonna pick the Commanders, or are you gonna be smart like me and pick the Lions?
I love Jaden Daniels. You guys know that I was pounding the table to give up everything you have to move up and get the number 1 pick so you could take Jaden Daniels. I still got to go with the Lions. I just think they're a better team, and the Commanders are a year away. So I just think the Lions they're coming, man. They're ready for this moment, and I'm taking Lions.
Yeah, Ford Field is gonna be madhouse. So
electric. That's a must-watch game, I think. Just to get at least at the beginning of the game, just to get the feel, the electricity, and that's a town that hasn't ever really had a winner. It hasn't really had any expectations. So good on Detroit. They've rightly put the expectations there on themselves, and so now we get to see if they can deliver, and they're going to get to do it from home, starting this week. And I'm with you too on Jaden Daniels. I made a trade to get Jaden Daniels in fantasy, and that worked out pretty well for me. I ended up, just falling short in the championship game, but beat all of you schmucks that are watching. So, so then we move to Sunday. The Eagles are going to host the winner of the Vikings and the Rams. Right now, the Rams are up 10-3. So we had a couple of field goals tacked on. We're still early in the second quarter in that one. So can't really say for sure who's going to end up being that dude that plays the Eagles. But I don't think any of us are going to pick that. Pick that team. We're all on the Eagles train, I believe, right?
Eagles.
Yeah, especially the way the defense looked after that last game.
If the Eagles lose this game, Sirianni heat has just turned up 10,000 degrees, right? The Eagles are the best roster in the NFL. They should be in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, it should be Lions Eagles.
They should. And even if they lose the NFC Championship game, you brought in, what are the coaches? The DC and the OC. Who'd you bring in to fix this craziness? Sirianni has no excuses to lose this game. You brought in Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I think it's nothing but short of a failure if you lose this round here. So you have to at least get to the championship round. And again, if we lose to the Lions, not saying we're going to, if it's a hell of a dogfight and not a blowout, I think Sirianni is safe. If it's a blowout from the Lions, I think Sirianni's seat is also hot. So I'm just going to throw that out there as well, too.
Okay. So even winning this week doesn't secure him for next week. It's got to be a good game.
You got one of the best defenses, top to bottom. And if it's a blowout and you don't show up, his seat's hot next week. Assuming, we get there. We got to play the round.
You got to get there first. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So then that brings us. That game, the Eagles game, is going to be on NBC at noon Pacific time, and then the final game of divisional round weekend, 3:30 p.m. Pacific on CBS. The Ravens at the Bills. This one is get your popcorn, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. Sam, who do you got? Is it the Ravens? Is it the Bills?
Man, with the Ravens adding Derrick Henry, this is what he is here for, is to pound the ball, pound. You got the MVP, maybe the three-time MVP of the league, and Derrick Henry.
That's Hall
and
of Fame
that defense.
Right if Lamar gets the third MVP, like we're talking about a Hall of Famer now at this point, you know?
I think the Bills are really good, but I think the Ravens are just slightly better with Derrick Henry. I think they go in there and the Ravens get the win.
Okay. Tyler, what about you? You picked the Ravens to, preseason to win the to be in the Super Bowl against your Eagles. Are you going to stick with them now?
Don't get me lynch mobbed over here, okay?
No. I'm sorry. You have been playing the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
No, I'm not gonna change course. Although I don't think I saw this division round at the beginning of the season, but here we are. Yeah, I'm gonna go Ravens. I mean, exactly. You brought King Henry to do what he has done this year. Only second to Saquon Barkley this season. Yeah, Ravens are taking this one. It's gonna be a cold. I don't know if it's gonna be snowy, but it's gonna be a very cold game, and you're gonna rely heavily on that running game. And there's two people that are going to be running the shit out of this ball. It's going to be Derrick Henry, and it's going to be Jared Allen. So, Josh Allen. Sorry, those are the two people going to be running the shit out of this ball.
Jared Allen,
that defensive lineman that's up for the Hall of Fame. You know,
yeah.
He's going to be running.
Josh Allen is going to be running the shit out of this ball. I promise you.
Yeah. That's a lot of disrespect you just put on James Cook's name right there by not including him in the running stuff. I'm saying.
Josh Allen is a threat.
He's not Derrick Henry. I'm not saying he's Derrick Henry. I'm just saying he was very, very good and also on your boys' fantasy team. So I'm aware of how good he was. Just because everything's about me, as it is. And that being said, I am like, you know what? There's a part of me that wanted to pick the Ravens. That being said, it's kind of boring if we're just all picking the exact same thing. And I do think the Bills, obviously hosting the game is going to be a huge part of it. They can run the ball very, very well as well. They have an MVP caliber quarterback, a guy that was in the discussion for the MVP. I think he's probably not going to win it. I think it's going to end up being Lamar. But Josh Allen is right there with him with a lot of the counting stats and stuff. So, and also he got engaged over these bye weeks. So good on you, Josh Allen, with Haley Steinfeld. Good for him. There's your pop culture reference, people. So I'm going to pick the Bills. I'm going to make us live this week on one game. I'm going to pick the Bills. I'm going Oppo Taco. This week, wildcard weekend, you guys both picked purple and I picked blue. This upcoming divisional round weekend, you guys are both going purple. I'm going blue. It's funny how that worked out. We'll see how it goes. But I don't have any real compelling reason. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens win at all. So, but we're gonna have some fun. You know, I can't have any extra points, bonus points. So I gotta make up ground where I can. But if I do get both of these right, there's 5 points basically right there. So so then I've closed the gap on you guys for your preseason picks.
In a game where the points don't even matter, just like
that's right. Yeah, just bragging rights. You know, and extra pack of Reese's Pieces for the movie. That's basically it. You know, I don't know, man. Okay, so there's our football talk. 40 minutes of it, and I guess it's time we just we start talking a little bit about basketball. Yeah, the Warriors went 1-2 this past week. They lose versus Miami, then they go to Detroit, get the win, a 3-point win. Then they lose at Indiana on Friday. They're currently playing at Toronto, and I can get you a score update in just a hot second. But last I checked, it was a pretty close game.
Go ahead, Vince. I got it.
Yeah, go ahead and go. So that being said, upcoming, they're currently 19 wins, 19 losses, 11th in the West. They're currently up 3 points, 69-66.
Yes, 69-66.
5 minutes left in the third quarter, so that game is well underway. And
can we just say they're cooked, right? Like you've never seen a worse 500 team in your life.
Dude,
I'm not impressed.
I'm glad you brought this up because out of all the fucking years to just stink, you know what, Kuminga, we're gonna shut it down. Like Curry, we're shutting it down. You're not gonna get the number 1 pick, but maybe you'd move up as far as you can. Kuminga, we're gonna trade you. We got to get the number 1 pick. We need Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
Like it's so crazy, man. Like they just look uninspiring. Like it's just an uninspiring team right now. And it's crazy because they looked good the first 12, 13 games. We were like, "Oh crap, like this team's pretty deep. We know the roster is going to get shortened a little bit, and like we learned quick why everybody was complaining about Buddy Hield, huh?"
Well, I mean,
there's other problems, but
I think Vince was with me when we were saying that this is a 10 team, like a 10th seed team, right? They're definitely a play-in team. But
we all had them as a play-in tournament.
But I mean, they look so bad that
Yeah.
they should be vying for a top draft pick. I've never seen a 500 team look so terrible consistently, night in, night out.
They look,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
rough,
looking bad.
man.
It's looking bad.
It doesn't look good. Yeah. Dauber down is some.
I mean, what do
other
you do
like-
though? I mean, Tyler, you were texting us like this team is going to be dog shit as long as they have Curry.
It's true. I mean, it's that double-edged sword, right? This team was amazing because they had Curry's contract, and now Curry's contract is the reason why this team is terrible. You know what I mean? So it's this weird. I guess my thought process is that you're basically, if you're a true Warriors fan and you've been through the darkest of the darks, it feels like you're rearing the corner to come back to that era. But I promise you, in 2 years, when Draymond leaves, when Curry leaves, when Steve Kerr leaves, you may have some dark days, but the promise that you can finally open up the book and start getting players, is a good thing. But the issue you're going to run into is, and we don't know, it's 2 years down the road, is Kuminga going to be the reason why free agents want to come to Golden State and pay premium taxes to live in California? Is Brandon Pozinski the reason? Is Trace Jackson Davis the reason? And if you ask me now, I say no. And I think you're going to probably see some more dark days beyond the 2 years of once they retire. You're probably going to get some good draft picks, but who knows what that's going to be like in 2 years, right? So am I the Debbie Downer of this situation? Sure, but I think it's more of a realistic situation. I think you're not going to see positivity until Curry leaves, unless they decide to trade the farm. And Draymond just came out today on his little podcast or wherever he was interviewing and was saying that it's absolutely absurd that nobody in the front office wants to sell the farm to try and take one last run at this. We're going to have to figure it out. And if we can't, we can't. It is what it is.
I just don't know. I don't know what superstar is out there that puts Draymond and Curry with another superstar that puts them in title contention. Like, because if you're giving up Kuminga, you're giving up draft picks, you're giving up all these people, that means you're going to have to backfill the roster with like dudes off the street because you're not going to be able to sign anybody. So what dude is out there that puts you out there? Because with Draymond's contract, with Curry's contract, like those two contracts put you up against the salary, take up 60% of your salary cap, from jump. So then Wiggins and Looney and all these other guys who have multi-year contracts, like what do you do? And the NBA out of all the leagues is the most difficult to, there's a lot of action. There's a lot of trades that can be done. But as far as like being a capped league, there's the first and second apron. Like it's so hard for them to make any moves where they're in a catch-22. They're damned if they do and damned if they don't. Mm-hmm. And no matter what they do, if it doesn't work out, it was, you should have did the other thing. Like no matter what.
It definitely.
If they traded Curry right now, to whoever, and they got the number 1 overall pick, and then you get Cooper Flag, and he broke both his legs. You should have never traded Curry. Like it's never and then people are going to be upset that you traded Curry. Remember people booed, booed because of Monte Ellis was traded, because we got Bogut. He was booed, the Joe Lacob was booed.
And that was on the jersey retirement night for Mullen too.
Yes, and then like Rick Barry had to come out and say, "Come on, people."
I think you're closer to a rebuild than you are a superstar signing with Golden State.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. Like, so to me, it's seriously like you got one path. Number one is you will suffer and just watch Curry and Draymond and all your favorite Justice League members just age out and suffer, and not be competitive and chase records and pad stats. And that's path one. Or path two is you liquidate everything. You start the rebuilding. Probably, let's say if we do it now, what does Kuminga get you? What do all of these guys get you? Because I don't know if Kuminga's the dude that you can build around and be good. I think you're more than Kuminga and a player away. I think you are many players away. I think you're looking at the nuclear option of what OKC did. You just have to tear it down to the studs. But I mean, I don't want to say fast, but now OKC has decisions to make because their roster is overflowing. I mean, they're going to have to make decisions on.
They're overflowing, and they have the next picks for first round picks for the next 25 years. But I mean, also too, the way of the NBA is, right? Curry changed the NBA. Now the NBA is, do you have an athletic big that can be the Swiss Army knife? Look at Alfred Şengün for the Rockets.
Yep.
Look at Jarrett Allen for Cleveland. Look at the Wemby or Chet Holmgren. You can go with Denver. You know what I mean? Do you have a versatile bid that can do it all?
Jaren Jackson Jr., man.
Yeah.
Fuck. Or even the gentleman in Chicago, Vucevic.
I mean, he's a little bit older. I think he's kind of getting towards the end, which is why I thought he would be a good trade piece for the Warriors, and he could still be. But I don't think it's going to make moves as far as going up the rankings as being past the 10th or 8th or 9th. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, that's the way of the NBA, and I don't see, without getting a top pick, you're not really going to compete in today's modern NBA. That's what it's shifted to. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you're looking at, in a couple years, once Curry and Draymond and all those guys are gone, you're looking at a, 19, 20 win team. And hopefully that only lasts 2 or 3 years and you're good again because you drafted really well, shout out Sharks. Vince, your dad is in the chat, is remembering the dark days and would rather see Steph here and go out in a single jersey. I think there's a lot of people who would be okay with that, but then there's a fan base that does have season tickets and probably do not want to pay San Francisco premium prices to watch aging Steph Curry at those season ticket prices. So I get both sides. I'm kind of in the camp of your pop, where it's I kind of remember the 90s and the 2000s when
I think some of the fans are a little too spoiled right now. They don't remember true pain.
Right. So I'm kind of man, I never thought, out of all the franchises that were in the Bay Area, did you think the Warriors were going to be the one that went on this run? I think we all thought
a decade ago? No, hell no.
It would have been the 49ers, or it would have been a baseball team, because a baseball team, you could get a 3-year period, a 4-year period, and get hot and go on a roll.
Hell, a decade ago, let's talk like, the end of 2014, the Giants had just won their 3-5, and the
Right.
Niners, they just fired Jim Harbaugh at that point, but the 3 years before that, they were in the NFC title game or the Super Bowl, so they were just there. So at the time, it makes more sense to think that, that
It
was
would have been
more
the
likely.
Niners. It
Yeah.
would have been a baseball team.
The Sharks were in
The Sharks are
playoffs.
still
Sharks
very,
were
very good.
competitive.
Would the Sharks break through at some point? And the answer ended
So
up
when they
being
broke
no.
through, nobody thought it was going to be the Warriors. So I think out of all the franchises, that caught the Bay Area by the most surprise and united the Bay the most in a weird way, because they're everybody's team. That's like the one team that we have together.
Exactly. Not everybody is into hockey, and then you had 2 football teams and 2 baseball teams, so there was split allegiances there. I mean, like, I remember seeing, like, when I lived in San Diego, like, some of my roommates from down there, like, on Facebook, there was some of their, like some people would, like, they'd be bitching about, the Bay Area being spoiled with championships, and then I'd chirp in and be like, I'm an A's fan, so no, we're not spoiled with championships. Through all sports, just basketball right now. So
For sure,
simmer down,
For sure.
I
don't know, guys. I know we beat the Warriors bush, but I don't know what you can do to improve in the immediate, because even if you look at the Jimmy Butler's not putting you over the top. I don't think there's anybody that you can get that puts you over the top or puts you really in contention with like OKC or even now Memphis. There's not that Memphis is so much better than you or Minnesota. It's just they're way more athletic, and the Warriors are not going to be able to compete with any team that is that much more athletic than them. It's just they're hella mid. Like Curry said it. They're mid.
It's true.
Yeah, fair. All right, so a team that needs to tear it down eventually, to a team that already has torn it down, the Sharks. They lost all 3 games this past week, including all 3 of us on Utah for the win of the week. That did not happen. So they lose versus Vegas at home on Tuesday. Then on Friday, they go to Utah. They take the L there 2-1, and then they lose at home against Minnesota on Saturday. That one was 3-1. So they're currently sitting in the 8th in the Pacific, and I believe they're in 15th in the West. I didn't actually update that, so I'll double check that. But they're near the bottom, that right where we want them to get another top end, high end draft pick. Upcoming this week, we have Tuesday they're at Detroit. Thursday they're at Columbus, who all of a sudden is a playoff caliber team. Saturday, they're at the Islanders, and then Monday morning, 10 a.m., they're at Boston. I don't think anybody's going to pick that for win of the week, are they? No?
Well,
no,
I mean, you got Red Wings, you got the Islanders.
Yeah. So it's kind of tough. We're starting to see, we're about halfway through the season, and we're seeing everybody like with their like scores and their grades for the different players individually. The Sharks are 15th in the West. They are 2 points clear of Chicago. So that's where they're at. They're just 2 points above Chicago. It's kind of tough. You look at the team, they're not that good, obviously. But they are exciting. They're not really getting blown out too often. Askarov looks like the real fucking deal. We expected Macklin Celebrini to be the real deal, and he's been all of that and more.
I'm gonna take
Will
Detroit.
Smith's kind of. You're gonna take Detroit. I'm gonna take the Islanders.
The reason why I'm taking Detroit, I almost took the Islanders. The only reason I'm taking Detroit is because Detroit played yesterday. Okay. So, I think.
I mean, there is a day between.
I know, and they won pretty big, but the Islanders play Thursday, and they get to go back.
The same gap. It's still a game off. So
I think the Detroit won big against Seattle, and that's kind of a big win. I think that they're going to be living off that high and not play so sharp.
Detroit has won 7 in a row. Just
I know. I saw that too.
So they're due, is what Tyler's saying.
Yeah, they're due for that L for a team that they unsuspect.
You know what, man? Winning 7 in a row. going 8 in a row. I don't know. That might have, because I was gonna pick the Islanders, but now that may have swayed my vote, man. I don't know. Like, how many teams this season have gone 8-0? Like on a win
in a row? I don't know. I
don't know, man. I don't think this team is doing 8 in a row. They're due for a loss. Book it. Sharks are beating the Red Wings.
Okay, fine. I got both of you down for the Detroit game. I'm still going to take the Islanders game because I got some work to do. I got to catch up. Again, I found myself in trail position here, so I gotta make a play on the ball right now. That's what's happening here. Yeah. So I mean, just back to what I was saying. The Sharks overall, the team is like individual players are looking pretty good. Top marks basically is what like the article on The Athletic. They're top marks for Macklin Celebrini and Yaro Askarov. You look at somebody like William Eklund has been like, he's really found it. This is only his second full season in the NHL, even though it feels like he's been around for a lot longer. But he's also like 22 years old. I think he needs to score a little bit more, but like as far as like defensively, he's been pretty good. And I don't really have any complaints about William Eklund. Barclay Goodrow's been kind of crap, it's just not really been a thing. Granlund's been pretty damn good. I like what Kovalenko's done since he's gotten here. Has been pretty good. He's had a bunch of assists. But he's also only like, he's really short too. So like he plays a little bit bigger than like under 6 feet, which is what he is. Like Will Smith has played pretty well, like after the rough start. I think he's played a lot better recently.
Well, I think him getting that line with Celebrini seems to have unlocked him. Who would have guessed?
I know, right? Who'd have thunk? Tyler Toffoli has been a little bit streaky with the goals, but he's 15 overall and he's leading the team, and he's filling the net, overall.
I think like 50% of those goals were assisted by Celebrini as well too. So
yeah,
who would have guessed?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. 4 goals in his first 6 games and 6 in the first 11 for Toffoli. So like he really like early on put in a good work, and people are noticing.
Well, the first goal in the Sharks season this year was an assist from Celebrini to Toffoli. So
that's right. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, like overall, I think the offense has looked a lot better. But you look defensively, like guys like Mario Ferraro, it's been brutal. It's just not good at all. Liljegren's looked pretty good since he got brought over, but Ruda's looked bad. Vlasic has barely played at all. You can't really grade him on anything. He's played like 2 games this year. And then, goaltending, obviously, Yaro Askarov has been stellar and probably has locked down the position, I think, at this point. Vanacek has been very up and down. And then Georgiev is
when he's on the stat sheet to be our goalie, I'm like, oh, we're losing. If Georgie is the goalie against Detroit, Detroit's going to move their streak 1 game further.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, that's really.
He has not looked good.
I said when we got him in the trade, I said he would be a great fit for the Barracudas.
You did.
I stand by that.
Yeah. So yeah, just overall, I think even though the team is going to continue to lose a lot of games, I think overall they're pointing in the right direction. I think we've been saying that all year, and the time to jump up on the bandwagon is this year, right? Like, the team is going to put in a lot of good efforts in losses so they can still get like a lot better through the draft.
A friend came over.
Yeah.
A friend came. I did see the Rams. They fumble. The Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold fumbled. Rams ran it back. It's 17
to 3 right now. Yeah.
17 to 3. So, and then Sam Darnold just got sacked again. I had a friend over yesterday, and I mentioned that we're going to the Sharks game on the 25th, and he was like, "Oh, I heard they suck." And so I hold on, bro. Let me tell you about what's going on in Sharks land. And he was just like, oh, I didn't know they had this like really, I don't, he's not like a big sports junkie, but then he heard that, Celebrini and all this young talent and, hey, in a couple years, they could be really good, a really great franchise. So I told him all of that. And he's like, can I go with you guys on the 25th? So sure. So he's buying tickets. We're adding to the band.
Yeah, man. I got fan members complaining about the Warriors and this and that. I'm like, dude, stop watching them. Start watching the Sharks. Like, at least be disappointed with at least be disappointed with anticipation of hope.
At least they're fun.
Remember
the old Oakland A's commercials with like Tejada, Chavez, the big three?
Oh yeah, Generation A's. Yeah,
but they were like, they're young, but they could play.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember that slogan that one year?
Yeah.
Like that to me is like a good analogy for the Sharks. Is like they got a bunch of young guys. They're really good. They're fun to watch. Like they're gonna lose a lot of games, but you're also gonna see a lot of like young, exciting players flash.
Yeah.
Totally. It's just as they get older and better, putting a whole game together. That's when you'll start seeing the wins. But the flashes are incredible.
Yeah. All right. So I think that does it for hockey talk. Let's move on to the pitch. Nothing really to report for Wrexham, so we're gonna move on to U.S. Women's National Team and international news in general. Alyssa Melanson from Bay FC was called up for the January camp again. So this is, she's like they're giving her a really fair shake, and she's performed well in the games that she's gotten into. So as long as she keeps playing well, she's going to keep getting called, and that's exciting for the Bay Area. Also, Savvy King, who plays the same position as Alyssa Melanson, she was called up for the Futures camp. So they're alongside the regular women's national team camp. They're doing a side young players camp as well to try to like get them the experience of being in camp, but like also competing against players their own age instead of having to try to take on some of the more veteran experienced players. So Savvy King was called up for that camp as well. Bay FC also announced signing of a midfielder, Taylor Huff. She was a 3-time All-American at Florida State and Tennessee, and she's also at the Futures camp as well. So now Bay FC has 2 players at the Futures camp, and to go with Melanson at the senior team camp. So that's kind of cool, and you get a couple of All-American players. You got a midfielder, and then last week we talked about the forward that they got from Cal. So trying to address the weaknesses in the offseason is great. The schedule should be releasing fairly soon as well. Just in other team news, San Diego waiver trading Jaden Shaw to the North Carolina Courage for a bunch of cash. A fucking truckload of cash is what it sounds like. And then Marta in Orlando, she's one of the all-time great players. She goes full Jordan Belfort from The Wolf of Wall Street and goes, "I'm not fucking leaving." She signs a contract for a 2-year contract. The announcement was actually very funny. It's like she's like in front of the locker. She's like starting to get tears in her eyes, and it's like I've been playing. I finally got a championship for the city, and I think about that, and I think it's time for me to sign a 2-year contract, baby. I'm staying. She pulls up a jersey. It says 2026 on it. So like everybody was hyped for that. It was a fun little moment on Woso IG. So there's and then I think that's basically it for soccer. Just a lot of we're in the thick of it in the European leagues right now as well. So Christian Pulisic is back from injury, and he's going to continue to do Pulisic things. I didn't really put anything specific in there, but that being said, there was I think that's it. Is there anything else we want to talk about real quick?
I'm good, man. I went off on football, basketball, and Sharks.
Yep, that's right. Okay, so I think that'll do it for us. So thanks everybody for hanging out. Thanks for being in the chat, Papa G. Appreciate that. And thanks for listening to the podcast. Subscribe, hit the bell for alerts when we go live. We started putting out individual episodes of individual segments as well as Sam putting out a couple of rapid reactions to Raiders breaking news when they fired the head coach and when they fired the GM as well. So check those out. We're going to start to do more of that kind of stuff going forward. So follow us on Instagram and Threads as well. Slide into them DMs. We would love to interact with you. And just, for all the people in LA, stay safe. We're thinking about you all. Just stay up and hope everybody's doing okay down there. That being said, fuck John Fisher and have a good night, everybody.
Night, everyone.